mate with the queen. That's it. And then in the wintertime, when they're done when they're done with them, they kick them out of the hive. They don't even want them. So they don't do like anything. And that's a good way that you can tell if your hive is going to swarm or not. Because if you get in there and you see the drones, and they're noticeably bigger, they're noticeably bigger than the worker bees, and you see the drone comb that they come out of, you know that hive is going to swarm. So you got to look around for a queen cell, so you don't have all your bees like fly off looking for a new home. Yes.
So what do you do with bees in that order?
I mean, you only want to go in the hive when it's like sunny out and warm. So if it's bad weather, you don't mess with it. And in the wintertime, what you do is you want to winterize the bees. And I've got a couple of boxes that I made, which I didn't bring, but one of them, we call it a candy board, where you mix sugar, which is a little bit of water, and you have hardwood cloth so they can get up there and eat that in case they don't have enough food. And then I have a ventilation box that I put on top there that has a screen on the bottom and holes. And I fill that with cedar shavings, you know, like you would go to Walmart and get a big bag for your, you have an animal or something like that. And that then allows it to, the way that a lot of people like, there was an article in the Washington Post, like 50% of the hive die in the wintertime. And the reason for that is if they don't have a good ventilation, because it'll be, the bees stay at 92 degrees in here, and if there's not air circulating through there, water will form at the top of the inner cover, and then that water will drip back on the bees and kill them. So you got to make sure that you got good ventilation. Like last year, I didn't lose any hives in the wintertime. All of them made it through. So let's go to the next slide.
Let's go through some of the presentation.
Oh, okay.
And then
Here's the one about the queen. Well, this answers your question from before. You see, this is where the queen is in there, okay? And you can't really see that she's right here, okay? And there's these. I had pulled out the plug on the other side, and you can see the marshmallow that I stuck in there. Okay? And that has a queen in it. Okay? And she's in there with like 2 or 3 drones, so that when they sell it to you, then you know that she's already mated, and she's not going to like fly out and go somewhere. And you can see I got the smoker right there, and I'm putting the putting that top feeder on top of that hive right there. Okay, we can go to the next one if nobody has any questions. Okay, so this is more of like what I was talking about. Somebody asked about the smoker. You see, I got the bees in there, and I want to put the top feeder on there, so I'm smoking them so they'll go in and see how they're all on the edge of the hive there, and like a big pile of them. And if I was just to put the top feeder on there with that big pile, I would squish and kill a whole bunch of the bees. So by smoking them, they will all go down in there. And then you can see these down here to the right, this picture at the bottom, these are bees, packages that I already installed. And you can see that there's still a lot of bees that didn't get in the hive. That's just how it is. Yes, sir, back in the corner. How long does it take to install them? To get in there? You mean when I'm installing them? Well, all I do is, you can see the can right there, that's a syrup. I just pull that out and shake them in there. So shake them all out. If you shake them real vigorously, they'll come through that hole in the middle. And then I'll take that queen cell from the previous thing where the queen's in there and wedge it right in between here. And a lot of times I got a staple gun, and I'll put a staple in it just to make sure it stays up there. Because I'll come back in 3 or 4 days when I check on them, and I'll pull that out. Because if you leave space, that was a mistake that I made. When you have the frames, you don't want to. You want to make sure they're all like close together. If you leave them apart, the bees will build all kinds of comb in between there, and it'll be like a big mess in your beehive. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
When you kill like the queen wasp, like the bees.
Now, can you speak up so I can hear you?
When you kill like a queen bee, and then like the bees get like salty, and like they get mad, and then when you kill the bees will get mad, and then they'll like come after you.
Yeah, they will.
All right, guys, let's hold our questions until the end. And please ask questions that are relevant.
Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so you can see here some more of these
Guys,
queen cells. I was trying to show, like, in the one up there on the top right, you can kind of see the queen, how she's kind of in the middle of it and kind of longer. And then here's some more of the, here's a hive that I'm smoking. Okay, maybe we can go to the next one. And here's some more. This is kind of more of the same. Okay, let's try the next one. Oh, okay, now, here I was talking about a swarm. And this is how the bees reproduce. And in the springtime and summer, like let's say from May until July or August, this year there was some kind of late in season 2, you'll see these honeybee swarms around. And this was, I don't know, our beehives, for whatever reason, attracts swarms come over there. Since there's so many bees out there and we're feeding them. So this was one, it was on the north end of the, there's like a tree line, and this swarm showed up. So we went and captured this swarm, and got in a hive, and there'll be some pictures of it, but this was a really good, usually for honey, the first year you won't get any honey out of if you just do a 3-pound package. But this had so many bees in it that we got it, that we are going to get two of these boxes of honey out of it.
Can I stop you just for 1 second? Taylor Hart is needed for early release.
Okay. So we saw this up in the tree, and I was excited to get a swarm because you save money. So we can go to the next one. So here's some more pictures of it. You can see all those honeybees. Any questions about that?
I just went to the next one.
Okay. So I went out there and with this small ladder to try to get at it. And I think the next one you can see that there it is up in the tree. All right, so we keep going.
Okay.
And you can see I wasn't even getting close to it at all. See the small ladder over there? So I had to get the 28-foot ladder to get to it. Okay. And then what I did was I cut the branch where it was, and had 2 of these boxes. One was empty, and one, I shook them in there, and then capped them off and left them in there for a couple days. And they hung around and did well. Not every swarm that we caught did they stay. Only about half of them were successful. Now this was the last swarm that I caught, and this one you can see the bees were just all in the grass. So first what I tried to do was get the bees with a broom, but that didn't work very good. Put it like in a dustpan. So I ended up scooping them up with my hands and putting them in the box. And when I was putting them in there, I saw there's a queen on the edge, so I knocked her in the box and shut it real quick. And then once it was shut, you see, since the queen was in the box, all the other bees went on the outside of the box. And I put those bees in the other bee yard.
Okay.
Now here's what the honey looks like when it's ready to be harvested. And you see it's all, the capped honey is all white color. You gotta be careful with it. It has to all be capped and all ready to go, because if the nectar, if you get the nectar before the bees have cured it, that'll spoil your honey. It won't. The honey itself, if you get the good, like honey like this, it's all capped, that will, doesn't expire. That'll be good for a long time. But if you get nectar in it, that will spoil it. Any questions about that? Yes, sir.
What happens, what do you do when the bee wax runs out, when the bee wax is
When it runs out? Well, they're making it. So like when you initially install, you see it look like just like this. It's just like flat, and then the bees will build that out, and then fill it with honey so it looks like that. So you can see that they will build it out to like right here. And then what you do to harvest that is, I didn't bring this here, but you have what's called an uncapping knife, which is a knife that you plug in and it heats up. And then you run it like along here and cut the cappings off it. And that falls in a tub. You do both sides, and then you put that in the extractor. And then you just turn the extractor, and all that is, the extractor is a centrifuge, which will spin it around. And you spin it around probably we have an electric one, and I usually let it go for about, I don't know, an hour to try to get all the honey out. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's a little swarm thing. How many bees are in the swarm altogether?
It depends. That one that I showed you there, that was a huge one, but there can be smaller swarms. There can be different sizes of them. So it could be like, that's one probably had 7 or 8 pounds of bees in it. And it could only be like 1 pound. I've had like smaller ones, larger ones. It just like depends on where they were, because that's how the bees multiply. Like a cow will have a calf or whatever. But the way the bees multiply is if they make a queen cell and the queen flies out and starts a new hive. Yes, sir.
How many swarms have you caught?
This last year probably we had like 4 or 5 of them. Yeah. Up front? Yes, sir.
How much of the day do you spend to a bee?
Well, it depends on like the time of year. So like if I'm processing honey, depending on how much it is, it could take me like all week, because I'll have like one day where I'm going in the hives and pulling the frames out, and then you gotta, all the jars, you gotta like wash all the jars out and then dry them all, and then uncap the honey, run it through the extractor, which is like about, maybe I don't know, there might be a picture. Maybe we go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's the extractor right here. See, you see inside, so you can put 6 frames in there.
What?
6 of these will go in there, and then run it for an hour. So it'll take me several days, and then you have to clean up afterwards, get all the equipment clean and to put away. So you don't want to be going into hives like every day. Probably in like one hive, you would only want to go in there at the most like once a week, because you don't want to be disturbing them so much. But you do want to go in there, you got to check to see if there's like diseases in there, because like if you go in there and find the moth got in there, if you catch it early enough, you can just pull that frame out where the moth is on it, shake all the bees off it, and then put a new frame in there, and then the hive is doing good, Or if there's like in the spring, if you go through there and you find a lot of queen cells, well, that's your chance from the one hive, you can make 5 hives or 7 hives or however many by taking those queen cells and the bees out of the hive and putting them in a new hive. And then when the queen hatches, which can take like 30 days or so, then you have to do queen in a new hive. Okay, then we go to the next. Okay, so here's the honey coming out of the extractor. And what you got here is a double seed, which is basically 2 screens that are, one is, the lower one has a smaller gauge than the other, and that'll catch all the like little pieces of wax, the dead bee that's in there, all that kind of stuff. And then once it goes out of that, it goes into this bucket, and then from there you could put it right in the jar. And it's all filled. The bees have already filtered it and everything, and it's ready to go. And then the only thing you have to be careful with is you don't want to give the honey to any infants that are like under 1 or 2 years old, because their system is not, their immune system cannot handle it, kill the baby if you gave the honey to a baby. So make sure you never give honey to a baby. Any questions?
That's the next one.
Okay, this is a picture of the buttercups that we have around the house and the pastures. And in springtime, there's like all these buttercups, so that's what they're flying around and eating on. And depending on what part of the season is, there's different flowers out. I mean, they like, white clover, red clover. Alfalfa has the purple flowers on it. Early in the season, you get like hen bit. That's like the first one that blooms in the springtime. I know in England that's what a lot of the bees eat. Here, this part of Virginia is really good for bees because it stays warm so much of the year. So you have a longer season versus, say, if you were in New York or Michigan or a place like that. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. And here's some sunflowers that they kind of like that. Go to the next slide. Okay, these two slides over here, this one to the right, this is some of that drum comb. And I was saying how you want to make sure that in the hive that you have all the frames right up and don't leave room. And that what happened was I had left some room and they built all this drum comb in there, which I had to cut out. And I mean, you can see there's probably even some drones on there. And then over here, this is good because you can see, this is not our bees, this is a picture out of a book. But all those bees you see on there, those are all the female worker bees, that's what they look like. And then this right here, these yellow ones, that's called cap brood. So they've already fed them and they're capped off and they're getting ready to emerge. And usually, I mean, I would say that that's a pretty not very good brood pattern for this queen is not laying good. Because it should be all, like the whole frame would be all cap brood or all, you can see up above, like right here, this is the uncapped brood. So she's laid them and then the bees go there like, and feed them like 1,000 times a day. They have to go and feed them. And then at the very top, you can see that's the capped honey. So I thought that was a good picture of that. And like this bee right here, see that one right there is putting some nectar in there. So it just came back from its flight and put some nectar in there. Okay, then we do the next slide. Okay, and this just has some different benefits of the bees with the honey. And we go to the next one. Okay. Now this was kind of interesting. Honey without pollen. If you go to the store and any store that you buy honey in, that's not really honey, because what they have done, one of the benefits of the honey, like if you get local honey, is that it has a pollen in it from the different all the different plants that the bees have visited. So that's good for like good allergies. But in the store, no matter what you get, what they have done is they have imported this stuff from China and then heated it all up, pasteurized it, and took all the pollen out. So it doesn't have any type of benefits. And given the price that they charge for it, I mean, the amount of work you have, there's no way that it's real honey if you're paying like what you pay in the store for. So it has no health benefits. And this was out of the Food Safety News, and it lists all these different honeys, which is pretty much anything you get in the store, that don't have the pollen in it. And one of the reasons why they do pasteurize it and pull all the pollen out is because it's illegal to import any honey from China. So by pasteurizing and pulling out the pollen, you can't tell where it came from. So it could be, it's probably cut with all kinds of stuff, like you probably heard about, like people getting this dog food that was from China. It had all kinds of like poisons in it, so they give it to their dog and the dog would die. So some of the different honey, like if you get the little packages of like little plastic packages, that stuff can even be harmful to you. That was in this article. And then these other two slides here just shows, you know, things like you wouldn't have any time, if you didn't have bees, you wouldn't have any food at all. Because most all of the apple, you can see here, apples, your vegetables, cucumbers, whatever, they need the bees to pollinate them. And I know like in China, because it's so polluted, they have to have people go and try to pollinate the stuff by hand. I've seen pictures of these Chinese people where they're going around with a long stick
Stop messing with the desk.
and
Y'all don't need them up.
trying to pollinate. And, oh yeah, one thing down here, create a watering station, that's kind of important. You do have bees, if you have somebody like with a swimming pool or something nearby, all the bees would go over there, so you don't want to, you want to have like a bird bath, because they need water too. And that's of course an important thing, like when you're setting out your hive, you need to make sure that you have a good location, meaning you don't want to have them around, like, you know, like power lines, a cell phone tower. I mean, you know, like people who live around a cell phone tower, they're always answering, and bees don't like that either. The cell phone tower, that will like drive them off. Like you don't want to have your bees like right out, set up your hives like right in the sun. You want to have what they call gathered sunlight, meaning you want to have them in a tree line where they might get some direct sun for part of the day, but also have some shade. Because if you just have them out in the sun, what will happen is on some of these hot days it gets so hot that it can melt the wax in the hive, and then you'll have all your honey on the grow. So, any questions so far? Yes, sir. Could you please speak up? I stopped.
Why does the queen lay eggs?
Why does it just have to be a queen's layer?
Well, each bee has a different, you got 3 different types of bees, and each one has a different function. So the queen, that's her function, is to lay the eggs. She's the only bee who does it. And the worker bees, their function is to go out and gather pollen and to gather the nectar that they then make into the honey and to, like, you know, clean the queen, do that thing. And then the drone bees, their function is just to go on the mating flight with the queen, and that's it. So each, you see that a lot in nature, that things have a certain, or made, you know, God made them a certain way to have a certain function. So that's what she does. That's it. Does that make sense?
How far will bees go from the hive to like?
I mean, I've read like 3 miles. They will travel up to 3 miles from the hive to do things. Now, like one big business is if you have a lot of hives, like there'll be people with that, like, you know, 5,000 hives or whatever, is that you rent your hives out to pollinate. So, for example, in California, when the almonds are in season, that's a big cash crop, they'll have like 90% of all the bees in the U.S., they'll like rent out those hives, put them on trucks and take them to California to pollinate those fields. And having the bee hives in here, like if you have vegetables or something like that, the farmer's yield will be a lot higher by having the bees there. Though, like shipping them out to California, that could also be a reason why they get the mites and stuff, because the bees will get stressed out being like cooped up in the hive, you know, for days, being moved around. They don't like it so much. So that's the next hive. Okay. Now you probably heard a lot about all the bees dying off. They call it the colony collapse disorder. And of course, the bees always have had the natural pests that would get in there, like the varroa mite, and the moth will get in there. But then recently, they've had this problem with the colony collapse disorder, and it's that, you know, a lot of articles that you'll see, people, they can't explain like why it's happening, but there was just recently an article that I read where they trace it back to these pesticides that they're using, like this no-till farming that they do. They sell it as like, oh, this is really great because we're not tilling up the soil, so it's not turning over the soil, so it won't turn into vertical, the wind blowing everything away. But what they're doing then is they're spraying all that stuff with all this chemicals like you know, Roundup, and what they have found is this one chemical that they use, which is a derivative of nicotine. And I don't know if y'all have ever tried this before, but if you take the ashes after someone smokes cigarettes and you put that in water, if you put that on a plant, and let's say it has like aphids on it or something like that, that's sucking the juices out of it, that nicotine dissolved in water will kill all those aphids on there. And so they have these class of these pesticides, which is derived from this nicotine, and they spray this all over. I mean, you name like cotton, corn, I mean everything. And basically, what they have found is that when the bees go and land on this stuff that has been treated with these pesticides, it keeps them from producing queens and that kind of thing. And then it will also, you might have seen in the news just recently, we're talking about all this problem with the Zika virus. So they were going to spray against these mosquitoes. Well, they did this down in South Carolina, and some people had a bee farm and killed all of their bees. And of course, you can just like throw it all out because the honey is then contaminated with pesticide. I would think that you just have to deal with everything and start over. You know, once the bees got that stuff and brought it in the hive. So the colony collapse is probably a combination of a couple things: the pesticides, the cell phone towers. You know, because in the past, say 20 years ago, you didn't have any cell phone towers. Now you look around. I mean, there's a cell phone tower everywhere. And of course, the cell phone company, they're going to deny that there's any health problems. But if you talk to people like the street, you know, where all the people live near a cell phone tower, you wonder, well, why does everybody around here have cancer from the cell, you know, it's being on a cell phone tower? Because the cell phone itself, that's kind of questionable. There have been articles out there, you know, about the cell phone, like your cell phone, the signals that it gives off. You definitely don't want to be carrying around in your pocket and stuff like that because it'll have bad effects on you. But the cell phone tower, that's probably a big thing, and of course, power lines, that's bad. So we can go to the next slide. We out of time now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just need to wrap up.
Okay. So this will be the last one. This is just winterizing the bees. I put around the hive to help people warm. I put roofing felt. Aside from the boxes, I put roofing felt. And you just got to make sure, like the one lower one, you see it snowed, so you got to go out there and move that snow away from the entrance here so that the air can get in. And that'll be all. And thanks for having me over to talk about that.